it's Jay. It's October 11th, 2025. Over the course of this last week, I just hit 100 subscribers, so thank you for watching and subscribing. When I conceived of this channel, I conceived of it more as a vlog style channel than as just a project channel. And my plan was to sort of show every project from conception all the way through the steps that go to completion. I have project ADD, so I always have projects in various phases everywhere. And I'm not great at focusing on one project at a time, but I'm very good at completing all the projects that I start. So they all move forward at different rates and get finished. So this week I am starting the first vlog with a conception of a project. Sort of made sense to me for the first vlog to be the first part of the process. I feel like I need to follow a process in woodworking or I wind up with a project that doesn't work well. So today's an Edc Caddy or Valet, which go on my dresser, and I'll take all the stuff out of my pockets and stick it on the thing. I have a small watch collection, knives, multi-tools, flashlights, things like that I'm going to put in there. So first thing I'm going to do is take you to my dresser, and then I'm going to show you some online stuff, different products that do the job, but I don't like them or like them for one reason or the other. And then I'm going to wind up with sketch. I also do a little prototyping, so I do some woodworking in here. And then I'm also going to show you the current state of projects and a little preview of next week's video. So off to the dresser to show you the embarrassment that is my dresser. Real quick, I forgot to say, let me know what you like and don't like about this format so I can make it more interesting over time. Thanks. This is my kind of embarrassing dresser setup right now. I've got this holder for my watches. When I bought it, it was supposed to be a store display case, which it was not. But I've been using it for years, and it kind of gives me the good and bad of this type of setup. One of the things I dislike about this thing is that the watches don't necessarily stay in a good position where you can sort of see them. They flop down and stuff. And if you want them to, you have to kind of come in and adjust the band and get them in there. So I'd like to have them. One of my design concepts here is that I don't have to have the watch set to a specific value or wrapped around something or tightened around something for it to stay in place to where it's at the angle that I'd like to see it. The second design concept is kind of, for watches at least, is how many I'm going to show. And I think that value could be 8, and I could get rid of a couple here and there. And then I have my multi-tools and knives down here that I'd like to just be able to grab them and go and not have to open a drawer or to dig around, and to some extent I'd just like to see them out. So it'd be nice to have them just sort of have an organization somehow where they can be. And again, I don't need all of them out, just the ones that I'm going to use. I'd want someplace for my wallet, my keys, and some of the other stuff that I have in my pockets. So I've got a few of these flashlights that could go somewhere. And again, I don't need all this stuff out. And I was thinking I would not make a drawer for this thing and just have everything out in the open, because I know when I'm going to use something, I am not going to come in and like open drawers and look for it, or I don't want to have like a dust cover where I have to open it to get inside and disassemble anything. I would just want it to be there where I can grab it. Most days when I come home, I take off my watch and I just sort of do that. You know, I thought about trying to stand these things up somehow, put them like that. I have little dividers where these things can, most of them will actually stand this way, even these big things, but I think I just like the way it looks better when they're sort of on display, I guess. I also need to keep my little glasses. I need cheaters now, so I have two different types that I use. I use that folding type, and then I use this type, which, this is dirty. I wonder what I did with that last. So I think over the next couple weeks, I'm gonna kind of lay this stuff out and figure out what kind of layout I want to have. And I think I'm gonna start with looking at how I would set the watches, because I think it's pretty obvious to me in some way how I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna route openings in something because I really like that look the best, whether or not I use some sort of angle. And then the question of whether I want a drawer underneath for some of the stuff that I don't use every day and don't care whether it's displayed or whether I just stash that stuff away somewhere else. So those are my design considerations for this thing. Now I'm going to show you some stuff that I've found that gives me some inspiration, I guess. And then I'll start sketching. I started looking around the web at options, and I came across a bunch of watch stands like these. They're okay. They're kind of a boring design, but you can see they're attached to some sort of base that has storage for other stuff, which is sort of the concept I have. These have these flat kind of watch holding things on it, which are okay. I don't particularly care for the design of them, but they look like they're probably functional. The watches point a little too upward for the height of the dresser that I have. I'd rather them point a little more forward than up. So then I found this guy, which is very similar. Looks like the angle is a little more so that I see the watch faces instead of seeing it from the side. I think I'm going to play with that and see. This one shows some watches that are just sort of hanging and dangling from there that don't stay in place. So I'm going to play with that with my watches. And then there's this style where you lay them down sideways. That's not bad. I kind of like that, actually. This one's leather. Then it's got a drawer below it for stuff, and at first I was thinking I didn't want a drawer, but after I laid my stuff out on my dresser, I kind of realized I still want some of it available to me, but I don't want it all out. It's a little too much, so maybe a drawer is good. I had thought about leather, and you'll see some more of that in some of these other options. I thought about gluing leather down and doing stuff with leather, but I don't think I want to get into a whole new thing. It would be a cool new skill to make stuff like that, but I'm not sure I'm into it quite yet. So if I just use wood for something like this, the top would be all end grain, which wouldn't look great. So I'd have to think about how I'm going to do this. Maybe put discs on top or something along those lines, sort of like they did on the sides of these with pieces to avoid the end grain. I like that idea. And then there's this one again. I was looking at leather, thinking about that, and they did put some, sort of covers on the sides there to avoid the end grain that's underneath there. And then this, I do like this just simplicity of this with the really nice wood grain showing, which leads me away from leather. And then I started thinking about the bottom, like what's going to be underneath of the watch stands. If I have some towers that hold watches, what's going to be underneath of that? And so do I want to have compartments for everything, sort of like this? Not like this. I'm not going to have a phone. I'm not going to have my watch. I'm not going to have my glasses in here. But again, the long, thin things to put my Leatherman, my knives, my flashlights, that sort of stuff in. Or do I want to do something more like this, where I just cut shallow or whatever kind of indentations into the wood? You know, this kind of thing. And this has an interesting little thing where it has some some glasses holders, I guess, not necessarily sunglasses, along the back there. It's kind of a neat idea. I use these magnetic fronted cheaters most of the time, and they're not going to fit very well. And then this thing, it says it's an organizer for men, and they show it full of perfume. Yeah, I guess if you like cologne, you'd be mad at me for calling this men's holder, but this looks like it's mostly women's stuff inside too. But this concept isn't bad. Again, I kind of want a drawer, and then I could put the holders for knives, watch things like that one may be on there. That wouldn't be a bad concept. Not this style, but conceptually. And then there's this thing, which I thought was just kind of interesting, different. I do not like the watch holder. I don't need a phone stand. I'm not going to stash my wallet back here, but it's thinking outside of the box, which everything else seems to be a box. And then down here, there's one that everything sort of stands up, and I don't mind that. That's kind of neat. Again, not the stuff I need to store. Yep. So far, I like that and that the best. So I'm gonna go down in the shop, and I'm gonna try to make one of these kind of things and see what it turns out like. So I just started with a piece of construction lumber here to just sort of get things started, make something. I have a piece of some sort of plywood as well, and I kind of just grabbed a couple scraps and started going to town here, and I'm using my watch to make a shape, using the biggest round over bit that I have to grind away this block of 2x4 basically, or I think I started with a 2x8 or something like that. And I'm just kind of grinding all four sides into a shape that my watch can fit on. Now I'm going to just make a base for it, just a bottom piece and a little upright that thing can hang off of. And then I'm going to use a dowel and make the thing so that I can angle it. And I'm going to try to make a nice tight fit so that it's a good friction fit. I don't have to sit there and do anything to mess around with it. And I did it, and the watch fits on there. So I'm going to probably take that up to my dresser soon, and I'll sand it down to make it so that I'm not getting any splinters or slices or slivers, and just there it is, little prototype. So if you looked at all those watches I had upstairs and you thought, why would somebody have so many plastic watches? There's definitely a story. And that's going to be part of the video when I build this thing. But if you think I have a hobby that doesn't involve tools and customization and geekery, this is an old ERC watch that they don't sell bands for anymore, and I think this is an MRG1 resin on the top of it, which they also don't sell bands for anymore. Same watch, titanium, from the 90s, I think. I have a bunch of watches that the batteries are dead, so I'm going to go ahead and change the battery in this one. When you change batteries on these dive watches, it takes a little bit of effort. These things aren't simple and straightforward inside. They have a lot of little tiny pieces, so there's a lot of specialty tools that I've gathered over the years to take these things apart, put them back together. and I'm getting it done. Right after playing with this thing for a couple days, you can see the watch that I built it around fits on there great. And I can almost bring it to about a 45, maybe even 60 degree angle, and it still fits on there great. Whether I loosen or tighten the band, it stays in place. But when I start taking the Frogman watches, the bigger ones, put that on there and they sort of start sagging. And even if I take one that's I've tightened up a little more in the back, put it on there, and it's still, like, as I take stuff on and off, it's gonna sag down. I can get it to stop. Same with just the regular old style watches. They're slightly different. You can see there's a bigger thing there than here on these older style watches, and they'll sort of stay until they don't. And then any kind of watch with a band like this, you stick it on there and it's going to flop down if it's not tight. So it's pretty good to my wrist size, but if I put it like that, it's not going to work. They're just going to flop down. So I would have to kind of keep them straight up like that, and everything will be fine that way. So I think that's what I'm going to have to do, is either have them straight up, or I'm going to have to lay them. Pop that off and just set it down. Another part of this that I wanted to do is show you what I'm currently working on. These pieces of MDF here are for a speaker project. I'm building a set of GR Research speakers. I have all the parts out on the hardware store right now, along with this walnut. This drum, hang on, let me get some parts. Been a drummer since I was a kid, and I'm a fan of Ludwig drums. So this drum is going to become a table. It was a beat up 80s Ludwig rocker floor tom. But I didn't realize when I bought it, it's one of these black and white badge ones, didn't realize when I bought it that it came with these smaller lugs. Nope, those aren't the smaller ones. Where are the smaller ones? Oh, yeah. Came with these smaller lugs, these little guys, like that. That's going to bother me. Every time I walk by it as a table and I see these little tiny lugs on it, it's going to bother me. So I eventually wound up buying a set of bigger lugs. You can see the difference. These are the full-size ones from the Classic Series drums that I've been playing my whole life. And I like the look of them. So now that I've gotten those parts, I can finish this as a table. That's going to take a little thinking as to how exactly that's going to work out, but I have it. I was also going to use the same walnut on it. Might have to buy a new batch now that I'm also building speakers. This one's been sitting around for a while because I didn't want to spend the money on the lugs. So those are the two main things. And then over here, I don't need to show you. I've been working on my dust collection system. I've had issues over the years with my dust collection system clogging up and, not necessarily clogging up, but overfilling and then clogging up. And so I'm adding a sensor to it and some other stuff. That'll be a video as well, some upgrades to my dust collection system. And then I've also been doing lighting around the shop. My videos have been pretty grainy looking, and my overhead lighting needed some work. It's needed it for years. There's no more buzz in here. All the fluorescents are gone. I'm up fully LED in here. And I'll show you my garage. I left this part of the clip in to show you how many camera changes I had to make just to go from my shop to my garage. because of the terrible lighting in here. Alright, well the garage video is going to be grainy. It's the only way I can get enough light to even register things in the garage. I'm going to do this handheld. It's probably going to make a little noise on my microphone because it doesn't like to move. It's a little broken. But you can see I've been using these, I don't know what you call them, light petal light or flower petal lights or something like that, these LED things that you can buy. And they don't last very long. You can see that one's sort of got a few dots that are showing up, but there's not much brightness to it. And that's what happens after about 6 months of being in my garage. And they're about 40 bucks a piece. So I have a whole new lighting system ready to go in here. And that will be a big chunk of my video because it'll be what a normal shop would have in it. And what I would do now if I was building my shop today. I'm sitting here with Hank in my office. Hey buddy, how you doing, sweet boy? In my office, and I've been doing some sketching. Start off with this sketch, and this is the base here with all the grooves to put my knives and stuff in, and then a deeper one on the end here to drop some stuff in, and then some shelves with the watch holders on them, and maybe a shelf at the top that I can put something else on. And the shelves get progressively thinner as I go, and that concept I sort of like. But I was trying to come up with this sort of like Eiffel Tower looking kind of base in the back, and I didn't really like that, so I started like an A-frame shape. Didn't really like that, and so I just kind of started down here to sketch just some sort of weird sculpted thing in the back. A single brace along the back that sticks up and has the shelves attached to it. I'm kind of thinking like this whole thing is just sort of sculpted and carved, and each shelf gets custom sort of carved into it so that it has a interesting mount to it. I think that would be kind of cool. So that is sort of my current concept, and that's about all I'm gonna do tonight. But anyway, I appreciate you watching. Let me know what you think of these kind of videos, and thank you for 100 subscribers. Just lace my hand open doing this. Zoinks! Scoob! Alright, hopefully I got a frame that I can use out of that.